Hello everyone, welcome to another episode on Lapetina Presents. Now I have a special guest from United Kingdom, Natasha Rose Mills. She is a certified yoga trainer, mindfulness and reduction teacher, emotional intelligence and coach. Also, she's a professional actress and a screenwriter, but this is going to be another interview will be coming very soon on this show. Also, she's going to share her experience, how she overcome with anxiety and depression. Let's learn about more about her in this interview. All right. Hi. Nice to meet
Hello,
you.
and you.
I'm so excited to do the interview with you. I love your website and I was reading all the things you're doing for mindfulness, yoga and
Amazing.
all the coaching. That's so beautiful.
Thank you so much. I'm actually working on a new website at the moment. Somebody else is working on it. It will still be Natasha Rose Coaching.
Awesome,
Thank you so
awesome.
much for.
And also congratulations for your feature film that you were working. You
Oh yes,
finalized,
as an
yes,
actor. Yeah,
yes.
that was Blood and Honey.
All right. So thank you very much, Natasha, for being my show. This is an honor for me to have you, a person like you, that person they have a lot with experience with the yoga and mindfulness coaching. Because nowadays people, especially new generations, need more people like you that you can give orientation about how to improve their life and also oriented in their careers and all things like that. And how you start within mindfulness? How come up that into your life?
So how I started in mindfulness, I finished my yoga qualification, my 200 hours. At the same time I was studying my yoga qualification, I was going through a breakup. And there was a lot of different things going on at the time, which was causing a lot of disturbances between me and my partner. And eventually we just split because we couldn't do it. And it was something that carried on for the period of a couple of years where we didn't part from each other. We were still in contact. And that was still very hard for me because I wasn't sure where I was in this. I almost wanted things to work out between us. And as a coping mechanism, I was looking at different strategies as something that I can do to help myself. And I knew that I had to be able to focus more on me. And I came across mindfulness. And firstly, it was mindfulness and stress reduction as a way for something to add to my yoga. And then after that, after I studied a 8-week course for mindfulness and stress reduction, I came across IMC. So it's a mindfulness and compassion qualification, level 4. And I studied that for just 12 months. And that was very eye-opening for me. I learned certain components within self-compassion that really helped me during the most difficult times. Because I ended up going through very severe depression, almost feeling lost within myself. I felt like I was in an expression, I was in a tunnel and I didn't know any way out of it. I almost felt like I was stuck, but it was me that could actually get myself out of that. But I didn't know at the time. I had friends and family trying to help me, but ultimately I had to do it myself. And I knew that they were there for me, but I just couldn't. So it's mindfulness and compassion, and also being part of a community that really helped me through it. And the components of self-compassion were kindness, being more kind towards myself during a difficult time, common humanity, recognizing that I'm not the only one that's going through this. So I might use certain phrases in order to help myself. So the first phrase for being more kinder towards myself, I might say, it's okay, I'm here for you. It's almost befriending, it's called tend and befriend. Common humanity might be, I'm not alone. There's other people going through similar circumstances, and it's part of human experience and suffering that we all go through. So it's that common humanity. And then mindfulness, learning to be present, is very, very difficult for me. I was ruminating on the past, as we all do. We keep going back to the past, feeling like we want to solve it, we want to try and fix it, but it's been and gone. And I couldn't move past that. So being able to just be present in the present moment, it took work and it took time to be present and apply that mindfulness of being here and now. So thinking about here and now rather than the past or even the future, because that's unpredictable. And we're in the state of impermanence. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, the next day. We only live moment to moment. And that's what I began to cultivate within my own life. It might not have been easy because we all go through struggles, and I was certainly struggling during some times. But when I was, what was effective was self-soothing, inquiry, asking myself, a question. So I might say, what do I need right now? That's a really
beautiful.
important question.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's so beautiful because, to be honest with you, I start learning about the mindfulness after I start reading your website. I'm sorry if I sound like an ignorance about that, but now after you explain all these things, like in me personal, I've been suffering from depression for many years, and I'm thinking right now, if I would know about this ahead of time, I think will be help me a lot. And like you said, many people are suffering with lack of acceptance, loneliness, and all these things. And like in this interview, I feel very honored to have you because I'm learning, and this is something me as a person that and I'm pretty sure the audience who are watching this interview and listen to this interview, because it's going to be in radios as well, they're going to start discovering, oh, this is something as a method that will help me. And this is a tool I can use to improve, to start to have compassion about myself. Because when you mention about to be to have a compassion and kindness about, so the first thing sometimes when I heard about this is it's about others, but in reality, yes, but also is to accept myself, to be good, a nice person to myself. Because sometimes, like it happens to me, is, oh, I don't like how I look, and sometimes I say not good words about myself, and it's we are not kind person to ourselves. And like you said, this discipline is so beautiful. And my question to you, how the yoga have the connection with mindfulness? You mentioned about the yoga, you start with the yoga, all these things, but did you suggest you have to be studying yoga first to be able to be in mindfulness, or you can do mindfulness without studying yoga?
Not really. You don't have to study yoga and mindfulness. It's quite a nice combination, depending on if you want to be a yoga teacher. And it's very much an awakening to your spiritual self. We all have that spiritual self within ourselves. Is that the inner self that we tend to disassociate from in the external world. But when we go within, through mindfulness and meditation, even through some yoga practices, when we quiet our mind down and we go into something called parasympathetic nervous system, and that comes allows us to come out of the fight or flight response. So some of these terms can be a bit over terminology, but somatic nervous system is when we're in that fight or flight response and we're quite stressed, we're erratic, we might be very anxious. So we might ask ourselves a simple question: what do I need right now? But can we ask that question, and is it going to be effective if we are in that response? Probably not. So what would be more effective would be trying to self-soothe or finding something that helps you to feel more grounded. And that might be going to the gym. But if you can't sit and meditate, maybe just finding something that helps you, and that might even be going to get a cup of tea. That might help you to slightly relax, and then you're able to self-regulate, really. And that's really what it's about, self-regulation, being able to control your emotions. And I've certainly found that very difficult over the period of my life. I've always been quite a sensitive person, empathetic. So I always tend to feel other people's feelings, and that's always can. If you are an empath, you tend to feel other people's feelings, which means it can affect you and how you feel. So it's almost being able to ground yourself and look after yourself, because you know what, you matter.
And this is
You
how connect
matter.
to be a coaching. Like you says, you develop the empath, and after learning, for example, mindfulness and yoga, and also to develop with the spiritual and kindness, and then that's give you a big connection with coaching.
Yes, it's interconnecting. I studied coaching. I studied to be a life coach with Certified Coaches Alliance, and that was after my yoga qualification. But because I kind of overlapped it, I studied that and then I went on to the mindfulness and compassion because I needed something to help me get through. There were some practical tools I could use in the coaching, but it was very much strategy based. And I needed something more because I was going through really bad depression and I wanted to finish it. And I also wanted to try and get through. There was coaching that's really helpful. And what coaching does is, and how I coach, is actually connecting to the inner self. And that's really what it comes down to. Self-compassion is into me, it's into you, it's understanding yourself. When we're able to do that and look within, then we find the answers by asking ourselves the right questions.
And there's a very beautiful, because sometimes if someone, which is great, as someone is a yoga expert, mindfulness coaching, but if for some reason has not passed the deep depression episode in their life, maybe it's more difficult for them to be able to understand or empath others. Like in your case, like you said, you passed for the depression path, and now you can tell as a person, I experienced this. This is what I did for me to overcome my depression, and that just give you success, with the people who are asking for your assistance. And also, I was reading in your Facebook, which I'm very glad to have you as a Facebook friend, that you're working for a book. You released a book. Can you tell us about the book that you recently released?
Yeah, of course. It's an anthology book with a bunch of authors around the world, some of which are TEDx speakers. And I shared my story on what and how I overcome depression after discovering mindfulness and self-compassion and how it got me through. It also starts with the story of meeting my ex-boyfriend, because that was a transformational experience there. It helped me to learn to trust myself, and there were certain things that I discovered about myself through being with him. There was a lot of benefits there, and I can't thank him enough.
I'm looking forward for your book. Does the distribution is in US or in UK for the moment?
Oh, it will be in the UK and also available all over on Amazon.
This is something definitely I will looking forward, because it looks very beautiful, and always it's always good to find someone that has kind of similar experience, because when I see you speaking, I feel like in the mirror in front of you, and I think your book will help me. Actually, right now speaking with you, I feel like a big relief, and I think the audience who is going to be watching our interview, yes, and radio, will feel the same. You have a star inside, and thank you for making all these things besides your acting career, because it's going to be another interview. We're going to plan it to schedule in the near future. But this career, this we need people like you, because nowadays, especially after the lockdown or during lockdown, a lot of people fall in depression. And this is something also being noticed, like besides that, because a lot of people lost their jobs, they lost their confidence and all these things, and also they need a lot of coaching. But for example, what I see, Mia, for example, I can tell from my experience, and I can share to the audience, the personal appearance acceptance. How you deal with that? This is something very important, especially because the social media maybe has a lot of impact on that. What is your opinion for that?
In terms of social media, it can be detrimental towards your health if you let it and you spend too much time on it. So, in terms of that, I always recommend people to have a certain amount of time that they spend on social media,
Mm-hmm.
and then other time where they come away from it. Spend time on finding what regulates them. Find their own refuges,
Mm-hmm.
what helps them to feel grounded within themselves. But
Exactly.
things like the news and social media, especially the news, can be, even psychologists say that it can lead into going into your somatic nervous system. So you feel very stressed because, especially if you're an empath and you're watching something on the news, I tend to watch things and they get to me because I have no control over them.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't help. What I will say is it does not help if you're in a bad situation. If you're anxious and stressed, what good is that going to do? And that's my question. What good is it actually going to do, you being stressed right now? Is it going to help the situation? Is it going to make it any better?
Exactly.
So by asking those questions and the answer is no, then what
Mm-hmm.
can you do about it?
Exactly.
And sometimes that can be very difficult if we are, for instance, going through a loss. Like I lost my best friend about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it very difficult to detach myself,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that I will never see her again. And it's very similar to actually losing someone in a relationship because you're going through that detachment period of loss. Not quite the same, but in some ways it's quite similar.
Mm-hmm.
And I would turn to things like coping mechanisms, shopping, and buying things as a distraction. And these
Mm-hmm.
distractions cause an addiction
Mm-hmm.
and can lead to depression.
Exactly.
And that actually
Yes,
leads to suffering.
it's true. And now, yes, a lot of people, that's what they do. They compensate that emptiness or start, excess of consumptions and all these things. And another question, and what advice you can give to the new generations, to the people, to the generation who wants to do, to follow your career, like to do yoga and mindfulness coaching? What advice you can give to those people who want to seek that career in their life?
Just try it because you don't know unless you try. You have to try something and see if it's for you. And
Mm-hmm.
if it is, then you'll pursue that path. And that's what I found is when I studied to be a yoga teacher, it was very enlightening. I went on my spiritual path and there were certain things that were happening throughout my life that was kind of leading me in that direction. But I was always deterred away. And there was a yoga qualification that helped to lead me there. And then the mindfulness helped to become a lot deeper into the awakening of who I was instead of my identification of who I think I am. I might be someone different, or the sole purpose of who I am. What is my sole purpose? It's just knowing that inner self and that higher self, which is you, into the self-compassion into you when you look into yourself. So if you're going on to a qualification, just trying it and seeing if it's for you. But don't worry if you end up doing something or studying something, you decide actually that's not for me. That's okay to make that decision too. It's okay to go down another path.
That's
Just
beautiful.
because somebody else says it's not okay, it's up to you. It's your choice and it's your decision in life. So make the right one for you.
That's
And we
beautiful.
sometimes have to go through trial and error to try things out. I've certainly been there. We all have.
Yes.
Most of us, I think, cognitively, we believe in this society that we should be staying in the same job until we go into retirement.
Mhm.
But is that necessary? It's your
Yes.
choice.
Exactly. So very wisdom
Mm.
words. Thank you. And can you tell us about what you offer in your website? what kind of services you offer, and then for the audience to know they can contact you. This is natasharosmills.com, but what services you offer for the
So I'm
clients?
actually working on a new website. That's the website I have up at the moment. So I work with clients on mindfulness and compassion therapy, help them to manage anxiety, stress, and also work through depression, giving them tools and helping them to discover their own tools within themselves, help them to identify with themselves using self-compassion, and really working with them to help them to understand themselves, building a relationship with themselves.
That's good. So
And
you
that's what
offer,
we start.
so yes, and you offer service for worldwide. Anyone from any part of the world that can contact you. Okay.
Yeah, worldwide. I do obviously have my community actors, mindful actors and creatives, where I share tips on and advice on working through anxiety in auditions and how to do that. So I share tips there. Also, I do career transitions. So if it's that you're looking for a side hustle, I offer sessions on career transitions.
Awesome, very beautiful. And about your book, a question is, do you have any plans to do in different language besides English, like for example Spanish?
Possibly, but that's out of my control. It's in the control of the publishing company, and they probably, I think they are doing that anyway, because she said it's in all countries, so I presume that it will be.
Awesome. Because I'm pretty sure a
Yeah.
lot of people from Latin America, because I'm from Mexico, and we would love to read your story also in Spanish, and I cannot wait to have your book.
Oh, you're
Thank you, Nat.
welcome. So it's an anthology book with other people, but I've written a chapter and it's 3,000 words. Right at the end of my story, I include self-compassion practices, tend and befriend, common humanity, and basically different practices you can use that are practical in your everyday life. They can be non-directional. Basically life skills that I wish I knew when I was younger because they're really important. But when we can learn to do that and use these skills ourselves, then we can find a way forward. Just knowing that there is impermanence in life, but just being able to navigate in a way that is helpful for you.
That's very nice. So beautiful. Thank you, Natasha, for me and for being my show. It was an honor having you learn about all these techniques. Like I said, I identify myself with a lot of things that you've been mentioned, and I'm pretty sure that the work you're doing is helping. It will be helping more worldwide, and people like you, we need more in this planet. And I wish all the best, all the success for your book. And why not looking for a documentary? Maybe your book can be an inspirational for documentary, and will be the different way to communicate the message.
Yes, there is kind of talks about that. I am looking to see about that, or a film potentially, maybe loosely based on it. But there are kind of potentially in the works at the moment. We'll see.
Okay, everything sometimes starts with a book, and you never know what surprises are coming. So I'm pretty sure that that's gonna give you a lot of surprises. Thank you, Natasha, for being on my show, and looking forward to see you in the future shows,
Thank
because
you. Thank you for
people like
having
you is a
me.
treasure. Thank you. Believe me, this interview touched me a lot. You can imagine
Oh,
how much.
you're welcome. Okay. Well,
Thank
have
you.
a lovely day.
You too. God bless you. See you soon.
God
Take
bless.
care. Bye
Bye.
bye.
This is Tend and Befriend meditation. It's a meditation you can do at any time during the day to relieve stress and anxiety. It also provides you support when you need it the most during difficult times. I would like you to come into a posture which feels right for you. Perhaps that's closing your eyes or dropping your gaze. Drawing your attention to your breath as you breathe in and breathe out. Noticing how you're feeling right now with that sense of non-judgment, just letting it be as it is. Now I would like you to bring to mind someone, perhaps a friend, going through a difficult situation. What might you say to your friend? What words might you use? What's your tone of voice like? Your emotion like? Are you harsh and judging? Or are you kind and compassionate? And what is that for you? I'm just thinking about that. Now I'd like you to bring to mind yourself going through that situation. What might you say to yourself? What's your tone of voice like? Your emotion? What words do you use? Are you harsh and judging? Is there any difference there to your friend? How you would talk to your friend? Now I'd like you to imagine if all your needs were met right now, how would you feel? And just thinking about that. Now, as we're coming to the end of the practice, drawing your attention back to your breath as you breathe in and out. And drawing your attention back to your breath, breathing in and out. Opening your eyes, and that feels right. Maybe having a nice stretch. Thank you.
This is not communication, it's communion. Hundreds of thousands of people have claimed contact. That will change you. It changed me.
Lost in between two worlds and two dreams.
This was something that I kept buried for years. Strange things would happen. I didn't want anything to do with it anymore.
He came at me, and I fought for my life.
Ships started to pop up in the sky.
And there's this bizarre disk of light. And it is moving across the sky very fast.
The experience is often very terrifying.
If I felt fear, I would crawl under my covers, hoping that it would go away, whatever it was.
I know that we were put in that craft.
I knew I was going to go to another planet.
And the being was right next to my face.
He saw two shadow beings. That's when I felt like I was going to die.
I had a real encounter with something. Even if I had to live with the fear, is to know the truth, is to know.